So if you're curious to know how much power you need to put into your saw in order to get it to finish at 9th place at Sawfest, today you're going to get to find out. This is, you're going to get to see just how hot you have to build one of these in order to get up into the top 10 list. So we got the saw back from Dyno Joe. We're going to make some cuts. We're going to show you the dyno results. We shipped her off to Dyno Joe as soon as Sawfest was over. We shipped it right back with him and put it in his hands, and he took it back with him. He gave us a dyno pull and sent it back. And we did this with two saws. We sent my pull-in, my 48 millimeter 65cc pull-in build. That's the one we took 9th in. But we also sent off the Bellhopper built 372 clone that I used for Clone Wars. It's just too bad I had a horrible run and couldn't even place. That's the way she is, you know what I mean? But we sent them both to Dyno Joe. He gave us dyno pulls. We got them back now. We sent them in 2 different boxes, and we got to figure out which box has which saw. But this is going to end up being 2 videos for you in the end. We're going to do, today is going to be on the pull-in, and the next one that we do, I don't know if it's going to be the next video, but the next time we do this video, or I don't know, we're going to do the 372 next. How about that? May not be the next video you see, but it's going to be very soon. So, alrighty. Now both of these boxes look identical, so I don't know which box I'm getting ready to open. So let's figure it out. Let's get this first one opened up and see. Now, in case you're curious, I'm going to basically do this type of video on both saws. So we're going to get to see all the numbers and everything on both saws. All right, so some of you have already figured out what saw this one is. You're familiar with it, seen it on the channel. This is the 372 that I run for Clone Wars, built by Bellhopper. We got a dyno pull on it, and we will be doing a video on that, but this is not the saw this video is meant for. It's the other one, so now I gotta go get it unboxed. All right, let's go for box number 2. I think we got a winner here. Dyno Joe did a printout for everything, so we'll be able to look at all of it. And here's the other one, the pull-in. A 65cc build. He pulled the air filter off, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw that on here real quick. That air filter sticks up pretty far, so I'm not surprised. There we go, bolted back on, nice, big and tall. Now, we're gonna have to bar it up so we can make some cuts. I'm gonna show you guys some cuts of it before we get into the dyno results. Now, if I seem, I don't know, if I seem a little off today, tired or whatever, it's just because I had a long night. I didn't get home from work till 3 a.m. That kind of makes for a long day. I woke up at 3:30 in the morning, went to work, came home, and about 8 o'clock, 8:30, the phone rang. A little bit of an emergency, the water main broke. So I had to go in and fix that, and then got home about 3 a.m. So I'm a little tired today. I'd love to go in and take a nap, but if I do that, it's gonna ruin my day for tomorrow. It'll ruin my schedule, my sleep schedule. So, I got home at like 3 and I'm still up at like 7:30. So I'm a little off today. Now, for those of you who don't, I don't know, if you're new to the channel, you probably don't know. So I am working to be what they call a pipe fitter, or in that kind of a trade, I should say. Water main work and everything. I work for the water company. And so last night I was pipe fitting. I was a pipe fitter. But basically when you start the job, you start at the bottom. It is a union job, by the way, but you start at the very bottom. It doesn't matter if you want to be a crew foreman or whatever. Don't matter how much experience you got. You have to start at the bottom and work your way up. Everybody. There's no exceptions. So right now, in the last 2 years, I went from being the newest guy to now I am considered the senior laborer. Now the laborers get upgraded to the different jobs. So as you gain seniority, you get upgraded more and more often. And being the senior laborer, I'm upgraded every single day. Just to kind of give you an idea. as the senior laborer, you get upgraded every day. It's only like the last, let's say the bottom two guys or whatever, 2 to maybe 4 guys that don't really get upgraded like that. But once you get up the list there, you start getting upgraded every day, and it's, you know, it's rated work, so it means you get paid more. But the next position for me would be what they call an assistant pipe fitter, which is basically what I do pretty much every day. And that's going to happen any day now. So right now, the job bids are going through like a system or whatever. And so like this guy moves up, and then this guy moves up to take his spot, and this guy moves to take his spot. That's going on right now. And once it gets down far enough, it's just, I got to put my name on a paper, and then I'm an assistant pipe fitter or something like that. So, you know, the other jobs are what they call a hammerman. You're the guy who runs a jackhammer every day. Like that's your job, which I tell you, I do a lot of that job. It probably will be doing even more of it after the first of the year or through the month of December. So the month of December is going to be rough for me to make videos because that's when I'm probably going to work the most. Or through the winter, I should say. December's the worst, but the winter is probably the worst for us. But I'll be doing a lot of hammering and probably pipe fitting, and that'll probably last through the end of December. And then that's just because a lot of the senior guys that have been there forever, they have a lot of vacation time, and they all burn it off through the month of December, whatever they got left. You know, it's like a use it or lose it kind of situation. Up to 40 hours, you can roll 40 hours over, but anything else, you need to use it. And while that's going on, I'll be upgraded more and more and more. But once the first of the year comes, everybody's back to work, and it just kind of levels, you know, smooths all out to like a regular thing, you know. But yeah, when the water mains break, I'm the guy down in the hole, digging in the mud, fixed it. That's why whenever you see me on video, sometimes I'm might be covered in, or I might have some mud on me or something. That's just because what I'm doing is I'm doing it after work, you know. I wanted to squeeze a little shop time in after work, so sometimes I'm muddy. I'm muddy about every day, but if you see it on video, that's what's going on. I am kind of working my way up the list to be a pipe fitter, and that's something that might happen, you know, sooner or later. I may bid out of this and bid into a different position. I mean, it is a water company. There's a lot of different positions throughout the company. So like I'm in the maintenance side of it. I could bid into like with the guys who just do leak detection. You run around and looking for leaks. So a lot of listening equipment and so forth. There's meter guys who go out and work on meters. There's plant people. I mean, there's a lot of different jobs that, you know, as I get older, I might end up bidding into something like that. But, you know, for now, I am where I'm at. And it's kind of, some days are more exciting than others, you know. Some days you got that water blowing right in your face and it's going 40 feet in the air, and you know what I mean? And then some days it's just laid back and relaxing and everything. So it's kind of an interesting job to have, I'll tell you. But what do you say we move on with this? We're going to throw a bar on this, throw a bar and chain, and we're going to go out and make some cuts. It is currently set up with an 8-pin sprocket. So I guess what I'll do is I'll go ahead and throw, I'll go ahead and throw a Husqvarna C83 chain line, brand new out of the box. One of the ones I took to the Sawfest. So that's, when I have the 8-pin on this, that's the chain I'm running. If I sharpen the chain, it's on a 7-pin because my chain pulls harder. So we'll go ahead and you'll get to see how I ran it at Sawfest, the exact same configuration. So let me get her barred up. We're going to take her out, make some cuts, and then we'll come in to the dyno work. Alrighty. It's been almost exactly a month since we've seen this, so we are in that type of time of the year where the weather's changing, so I might have to tune her, but let's have some fun. Let's go, we'll see if we can get 2 cookies off of this. we go, 2 quick cuts. That's C83 on an 8-pin. This saw makes C83 feel like it's a dull chain. There's something about C83, you know what I mean? Seems to work good to a point. So, I don't know. We're going to explore that a little more though. We're going to explore the chain here. This saw just doesn't like anything I throw at it. So, we're going to go, I think in the future we're going to go with one of my chains, because I think I can actually do better than that. But then again, we are cutting through. I mean, look at the ring, the growth rings. This is a pretty hard piece. So, you know, it is what it is. I do have one piece of advice. Don't cut wood when you got holes in the front of your pants. In case you're wondering, the holes are there from running a jackhammer. It really tears up your jeans because it rubs against your legs, you know. But let's go in and look at the dyno results. Filled up my pockets with sawdust. But I posted a short a little while ago asking folks to take a guess on how many horsepower this saw had. We had probably a dozen or so guesses. I think most people have trouble kind of guessing on that sort of thing. They just really don't know. 2 guys guessed it correctly, but those 2 guys kind of, you know, I gave them the results before I even posted the short. So in a way, I'd say they cheated. How about you? But most of the guesses were coming in at around 7.5, 7.7, I'd say. Say out of a dozen guesses, there might be more than a dozen, actually. There are probably 15, maybe 20 guesses. So I'd say 2 were spot on because they already knew the answer. 1 guy guessed 12. So 12 horsepower is typically closer to like 100 cc saws, not 65. Unless you're doing like expansion chambers and nitromethane and all that stuff. This saw is just running on gas. It's just a ported saw running on gasoline. So, you know, you don't typically get that high of a port or horsepower number unless you're bigger, much bigger in displacements. You know, pushing a lot more torque and stuff, which helps affect your horsepower. But, you know, in case you never knew that, that's why bigger saws produce more horsepower. That's like the math. Remember seeing about the math? It's because the bigger displacements push more torque. But even though they operate at roughly the same RPM, they have bigger horsepower numbers. It's because of the torque factor, you know? Torque affects it pretty drastically. Now, the most of the people, though, they guessed like 7.4, 7.5, 7.6, 7.7, somewhere in that range. I'd say that's the vast majority of guesses. We're going to pull up the dyno sheet here and take a look and see exactly what the horsepower rating is. So, all right, you ready for this? The big reveal. All right, you ready? The big reveal here. How many horsepower does it take to get into the top 10? It's right here. We hit exactly 8 horsepower with at 4 point, I need glasses. Is that an 4.38 torque? Yeah, I need glasses. That's, if you ever see me do this and I screw up, that's what it is. I'm having hard trouble seeing it. But there she is. And you can see how many RPM we're doing. She cuts in the wood. Let me make you a little pointer here. But cut in the wood is, boy, I'm having trouble reading here. So our cut in the wood is probably somewhere around here, is probably where you're seeing the RPM scream at. She's not pulling hard enough to use the torque to get the RPM to drop down to here. So that's whenever you hear me talking about the chain just not pulling hard enough, this is what I'm talking about. So the fastest cut speed should happen somewhere around here at this RPM range, but we're not pulling hard enough on the saw to get it down to here. And that's what I'm working on with the chain. I don't want it to just sit there and glide in the wood real easy and scream up here. I want to use more of the available horsepower to cut faster. And that's what I'm doing. One of my things that I like the most here this is our torque across the RPM spectrum, and she really starts coming off up here. Well, she starts dropping at what is that? Is that 9,600, I think? Don't move much at 10.4. 11.2, I mean, we're still pushing a decent amount of torque, 11.2. It's not until we hit the like 12 grand that she really starts dropping below 3 foot-pound, or yeah, probably 11.5, 11.8. She drops below 3 foot-pound of torque, and she just keeps kind of fading off. So whenever we hear us talking about stretching that torque out higher in the RPM range, this is what we're talking about doing, is getting this to pull up higher here into the RPM. This is where you really get fast. But the thing I like is just how flat this is. From, say, what the crossover point's right here. So what is that? That'd be about 5,000 RPM. Stuffing that saw down to 5,000 RPM, the torque really didn't change much from 5 all the way up. I mean, we got to be at 10.4 until she starts really dropping. But across this whole RPM range, that torque she just chugs, and she stays above 4 foot-pounds, closer to the 4.38. So 4.38, where's that going to be at? Somewhere in here? You know what I mean? She just chugs along. So a lot of times you'll see graphs do kind of like an arc here. So they'll try to drop off down low. This one's not. I mean, all the way down here at this RPM range, she just keeps pulling. So this saw is very, very difficult to stall in the wood. You really got to push hard on it to get it to happen. And you can see it on the graph. Right here, this is our horsepower. As you know, as torque and RPM increases, this is the actual horsepower graph. And you can see where our peak is here. But you see this little blip right here, this little, little bump in our mountain. I think we could clean that up. I think our exhaust is just a tad low, and I think that's why we're seeing this. So the exhaust is sitting at 98. I bet you if we just gave it just the tiniest little smidge, that would round off a little. Probably won't affect it. Really, probably won't even notice it in the wood. It would just probably make this graph kind of look a little smoother, So that's it. That's what it took to get a saw in the top 10 list. He put 445 here. The saw is a 445, but it has a 415 top end. So any of you who are inquiring about that, that's what's going on. It's a 445 with a 415 top end. But there it is, the dyno results. We're going to do this video again with the Bellhopper 372 here coming up very soon. So there we go. I am very happy with this build. I probably won't touch it. At least it's not going to be a high priority item. I got other builds that are much more important than this one right now. So later down the road, we might go into it and just take a tiniest nibble off the exhaust. We might just take a little bit out of the corners of the exhaust, kind of flatten it out just a little more. We might do something just to help clean off clean up that peak in the RPM level. I mean, the tune could have just been a little on the fat side or something. I don't think it was, though. She felt spot on, and I think it is. I think it is the exhaust roof. It's just maybe a degree off, and that's not bad for doing this, and doing all this this porting work and changing everything up. You know what I mean? So there it is. Final results on the dyno sheet. You got to see it cut in wood with an 8-pin sprocket and C83 chain. From now on, though, we're going to be moving this saw into a chain that I sharpened, because I think that's one of the mistakes I made, is running the C83. We're going to put it to a test and see if my suspicions are correct. Could we have potentially lost a position or 2 or 3 because I made the wrong decision on the chain? We're going to find out. We're going to put it to the test and see if my assumptions are correct. So, hey, hope you enjoyed this one. Catch you in the next one. Later.